Today, we're going to tackle a question that honestly affects every single one of us, whether we're in a crowded room or sitting all by ourselves.
So let's just ask it. Can you be happy alone? Like genuinely, deeply happy? It feels like it should be a simple yes or no question, doesn't it? But the real answer is so much more powerful. It's actually a tool for changing how you see yourself and the world.
You see, the answer all hinges on getting this one thing right. The massive difference between two words we use interchangeably all the time, loneliness and solitude. One is a state of pain, the other is a source of incredible strength. And I promise you, getting this distinction right, well, it changes everything. Think of it like this. Loneliness is that ache of disconnection. It's the painful gap between the connection you crave and the connection you actually have. But solitude? That's completely different. That is the chosen state of connecting with yourself. It's not about being unwanted. It's about realizing you belong to yourself first. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll break down why we misunderstand solitude so badly. Then, we'll look at why loneliness is a genuine health crisis. After that, we get to the good stuff, how to harness the power of solitude, build your own inner sanctuary, and finally, how being happy alone actually makes you better when you're with people. All right, let's dive into the core of the problem. Why do we get this so wrong? Why do we see someone alone and immediately think, oh, they must be lonely? Okay, this table really lays it all out. Just look at the locus of control. Solitude is chosen. You're in charge. Loneliness feels involuntary, like it's happening to you. Or check out the core emotion. Solitude brings a sense of peace, while loneliness is all about distress and anxiety. I mean, these aren't just slightly different. They are polar opposites. And part of this confusion is literally baked into our language. In many languages, there aren't even two separate words for being alone and feeling lonely. They're the same thing. So that negative feeling gets automatically attached. It just reinforces this really damaging story we tell ourselves. If you're alone, you must be unwanted. And this confusion isn't harmless. It has really, really serious consequences. Because when we can't tell the difference between healthy solitude and painful loneliness, we fail to see loneliness for what it is, a dangerous and very real public health crisis. That's right. This is not just about feeling sad. The CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, they classify loneliness as a serious public health risk. They put it right up there with other major threats to our health. It's your body sending out a biological alarm bell. And just look at how widespread this is. About 1 in every 3 adults in the US says they feel lonely. Think about that. This isn't some small niche problem. It is a massive hidden epidemic affecting millions and millions of people. And this is where it gets scary. This emotional state has profound physical effects. Of course, we see the psychological risks, anxiety, depression, but look at the physical side of things. A weaker immune system, cognitive decline, even a higher risk of dying prematurely. The constant stress of disconnection literally wears our bodies down. And what happens is, it creates this vicious cycle. The pain of feeling lonely makes you want to pull away, right? So you start avoiding people. Maybe you even feel a little relieved when plans get canceled. But that withdrawal just makes the isolation worse, which in turn makes the pain worse, and on it goes. Okay, after all that doom and gloom, here is the turn. Here is the hope. Because if loneliness is the problem, then cultivated solitude is its powerful antidote. This is where we learn how to flip the switch from a state of suffering to a state of strength. I absolutely love this phrase, a mental tax break. Just think for a second about how much of our energy goes into performing for other people, managing how they see us. Solitude is the one place where you can just drop all of that. It's a quiet space where the pressure's off and you can just be you. And the benefits are huge. When you intentionally make this time for yourself, you start to see real changes. Your creativity gets a boost, your stress levels drop, and maybe most important of all, you start to build this deep sense of belonging to yourself, a sense that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. And here is the great paradox, the twist that ties this all together. You'd think spending more time alone would make you more isolated, right? But it's the exact opposite. When you get comfortable and grounded in your own company, you stop approaching other people out of neediness. You show up as a whole person. So, the big question is, How do we actually do this? How do we make it happen? We need a playbook, a practical guide for building that inner sanctuary and turning solitude into one of our greatest strengths.
The ancient Stoic philosophers were masters of this. I mean, here we have the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius writing that the quietest, most peaceful retreat you can find isn't some fancy vacation, it's right inside your own soul.
The Stoics even had a word for this, autarkia. It means self-sufficiency. But it's not about pushing people away. It's about building a solid foundation of contentment inside yourself so that your happiness isn't so fragile, so it doesn't depend on things you can't control, like whether someone texts you back. Think of it as emotional insurance.
Okay, here it is, the playbook. 4 simple, actionable steps. First, ditch comparison. Social media is the enemy of contentment, so put the phone down. Second, actually structure your solo time. Don't wait for it to happen, schedule it. Seriously, take yourself out on a date. Third, find a creative outlet. Write, draw, play music, anything that turns your focus inward. And fourth, get grounded. Go for a walk in nature, do some exercise, connect with your body.
Which brings us to our big finale. This whole journey isn't about choosing to be alone or be with others. It's about understanding how the first one makes the second one so much better.
I want you to think of it like this. Solitude isn't about escaping from people. It's your training ground for people. It's where you recharge your batteries, get to know who you really are, and build the inner strength you need to show up as your best self in all of your relationships.
Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't isolation. The goal is to be so comfortable and whole in yourself that when you connect with others, you're doing it from a place of strength and generosity, not from a place of desperation. You're bringing a full cup to the table, not an empty one that you need someone else to fill.
So I'll leave you with this question. This isn't about some massive overnight change. It's just about one small, intentional step. So what's one way, just one thing you can do, to cultivate a little bit of positive solitude for yourself this week?